So last week, Enos showed us a treehouse that was nothing short of hideous. But I'll be fair, I like the kitchen a lot. Some of the aspects, even though they use very inexpensive materials, which was kind of the theme of the property, which was low use of quality of finishes, or at least that's what ended up happening. It still had very nice outdoor space, and for a treehouse and as a secondary structure, I like it. Today we're going to change that up. I actually have one of the best organic structures in architecture that I have personally ever seen. This guy, Robert Oshatz. Okay, now look, I'm gonna say this before we get into anything. No, I'm not some architectural whiz or snob or studied or anything like that. This is actually my first time learning about the guy along with you. So we're gonna learn about this guy's designs together. But what I can tell you is that he does embrace organic architecture, meaning that his tutelage was underneath Frank Lloyd Wright Jr. Okay, not Frank Lloyd Wright, but Frank Lloyd Wright Jr., which, you know, obviously his father passed down a lot of great information to him and inspired him to create his own style of architecture and also embrace the organic architecture. Now, if you're not really familiar with organic architecture, it is understated to the environment. So while the structures can be quite unique and stand out and be quite beautiful, they do not overtake and overwhelm the environment. The beauty of the environment is the star of the properties. And so you'll learn when you see these type of homes. I mean, obviously one of the greatest examples is falling water, where the first thing that you think of, or when you see falling water, is the water cascading down as a natural water fixture, right? Because there's no better water fixture than what comes from the Mother Earth. Well, that is essentially what organic architecture is all about. This is Architecture Wednesday. I'm Drayson. I still don't have an intro, but we're pretending that there's one here with some amazing music and flashes of all sorts of properties that I've looked at, and boom, now we're on to the rest of the video. So look, I mean, this guy's designs, I mean, as you can see, these are really, really like, I mean, in all honesty, I hope there's videos of all of these places, because like they're like, this is like crazy. Like, this is a crazy type of home. Like, it looks so understated, and then it ends up being a large property. So this guy, I'm really curious what his mindset is when he's like drawing these designs in tune with the environment that's around him and embracing the nature, where if you take the property, another element of organic architecture is if you take that property out of the off the land, okay? If you just demolish that property, you would have never known it was there. That's another thing about organic architecture. You would never know that the house was there if it just got destroyed. Like, if someone came with a wrecking ball, knocked the place down, you would have never known it was there. So personally, I like that. I also like really cool designs. And this guy, he checks the boxes. So I'm curious to see how his mind works. And one of the biggest and most important things to me is, does the property flow together well? So we're going to look at his personal property, and I mean, it looks like a damn spaceship. I mean, it looks like a spaceship treehouse. Like, so I'm really excited. So without further ado, let's look at the exclusive home of architectural whiz, the apprentice of Frank Lloyd Wright Jr., Robert Oshatz. It's crazy. This looks crazy good. It just stands out.
The inspiration for this house came from many different elements. A design is a emotional or spiritual
And it's on a
element,
lake?
which is the way one perceives space and feels about different things.
I love it. It's really good space.
Emotionally, I wanted a structure that felt that it was soaring out into space, almost defying gravity in a sense, but at the same time,
I'm sorry. I'm just blown away because this is like so, it is so not in the way of the nature. I almost feel like the tree one day will come knocking in like, yo, can we get some sugar? Let alone like where's the driveway? How do you even get to this? Like I almost feel like you have to park up top somewhere and then you walk down. It is so like nestled in the trees and the foliage. Foliage. Okay, I'll stop. Foliage.
tied back to the land itself so that it feels that it's a part of the land and it belongs in this one particular site.
He nailed that to
My
a
name's
T.
Robert Oshatz. I am the architect, builder, and homeowner of the Elk Rock Residence.
Okay, there it is.
I designed the house
Driveway.
in the beginning of 1988. When I started the project and bought the land,
It's a interesting
it had this wonderful view
choice for a
of
bed angle.
Mount Hood and the Willamette River. It was a difficult, very steep
So it's a
site.
river?
At the time that I
It's even
bought
better.
the property, it was classified as unbuildable land. As an architect, I know what you can do and what you can't do. Every site is buildable if you look at it in a creative way and look at it in terms of what is the poetry of this site, what is it trying to say to you, and how can I bring that poetic feeling out in the structure. I acted as my own builder on it, and what I did was I hired a young man who never built a house before, but he was a handyman and he knew a little bit about concrete work, a little bit of framing,
Very interesting kitchen.
a little bit of everything. One of the really wonderful things about him is that he had experience, working with kids that were in drug rehab programs or high school dropouts. So we brought these kids on and gave them the tools and directed them on how to build the house. The construction of the house was far simpler than what it appears to be when you see it.
How?
When you see the house, it's like a teeter-totter where it cantilevers out as it soars out into space.
Wow. Okay, now I get what he's saying, that it's more simple than what it looks like because he's right, how it's cantilevered. So you have the cantilever here. So this would be like that living area. And then there's more here. And I guess this is where you like park the car. And since he is a student of the school of Frank Lloyd Wright, this is his carport and there is no garage. Because what Frank's theory is with the garage is it's a space for you to build clutter. And he was not a proponent of clutter, but more so living and enjoying the things that you need in the space. But yeah, I could see why he said the design is more simple than what it looks like. Because from what it looks like outside, it's like, man, like there has to be like some crazy engineering. And this does require really good engineering for this to have been built. But it looks more simple in this drawing. I think this is the first time I've ever seen a drawing in a video of someone describing a house that they, basically built. Like, this is insane.
But there's a counterweight that goes down to the ground.
Okay.
That's a big concrete slab that's keeping the house from tipping over.
That's the engineering.
So, in a sense, the house was built upside down, where the smallest spaces are down below, and as you go up and get a better view as you go up, the house gets bigger and bigger. So it actually created kind of a funnel shape. And some people refer to the house as the funnel house.
I like it. I wouldn't refer to it
It's
as
a 3-story house, but every story is a split level, so it has 6 different levels to it. And I was able to get my driveway brought up into a carport that was at the kind of halfway
Thought he was going to say every story tells a story.
You're never going up 3 flights of stairs and then back down. You walk in from the carport to the entry, and you just go up a half a flight, and you're at the family living area.
Okay.
Or from the entryway, if you went down a half a flight, you'd be at the children's bedroom level. Once you get to the community living, dining, family area, there's another half flight you can go up to, and that takes you to the primary bedroom area. And that level, you have a sitting room first where you can watch TV, or there's a desk behind some sliding doors that can open up. Behind that then becomes your sleeping area, your dressing room, and your main bathroom facility. All these different levels have their own balconies and exterior connections to the outside. And I also have my own architectural studio in the house, which is the lowest level of the house because that's the smallest space in terms of area. But that has a separate entry so that I can say I actually have to walk to work every day. I wanted to make sure in this house that the living area had a spectacular view, and although you would get the view from other places within the house, you'd get it in a different way. So I put the main sleeping area back further away from the main view where you could get it, or when I'm laying on the day bed, I can actually have an opening where I can look out and also see Mount Hood at the same time.
He's got that opening, and then obviously the more obvious opening.
There's a great deal of wood on the interior that when I was building this house was predominantly, local within Oregon. The stone comes locally here in Oregon also. Also, some of the use of material is determined by effects that you're trying to create. So for example, I wanted a main living space that had just wonderful acoustics so I can sit in the room in the evening and just
the wood
listen
on the
to
ceiling.
music and relax.
Palette choices.
To do that,
it's really nice.
I designed the structure where the main living area didn't have any parallel walls to it. The walls are at slight angles from one another. The floor and the ceiling are not parallel. And then I set my speakers in a cabinet and shut them up towards the ceiling so that the sound would hit this wood ceiling and then spread out over into the space. I wanted to use natural materials as much as possible and then introduce some color to the house, because you don't want to create monotone feeling throughout a structure. You want to have a play of materials, colors, and textures. You want a structure to feel warmth to it. So this house is mainly just natural materials and their natural colors, but I did introduce a teal color to pick up the sky, pick up the water below, and then down below on the outside, there's some green areas that pick up just the landscape. But The choice of colors was mainly to create a structure that felt that it was at peace within the environment that it was in. When I'm designing a house, I'm designing all the furniture within the house as I'm doing the preliminary drawings. So as I was designing this main living space, I had this couch already in mind, and I had the dining room table in mind, and a lot of the other furniture in the house is built in. You know, beds are built in, desks are built in, kitchen table is built in. One of the reasons I do the build-ins is because I'm thinking of all these elements as I'm designing the structure. I'm thinking of, you know, the kitchen and a place for a person to sit so that someone can be cooking and a few other people can be in the kitchen and sitting and talking and everyone can be together. So as you're thinking about these things, all of a sudden they become part of the design. They become part of the lines of the house.
It's very intentional with his thought process. Like this.
The poetic sense in this house was this dynamic hillside going up, and there was these beautiful trees. The site had a sense of softness to it, and I wanted to bring out that softness in the structure. I wanted a structure that just gracefully soared out into space. Because one of the beautiful things about living in this house is that you're so high off the ground that you're able to watch the birds by looking down on them and see how they soar and how they float in space. And I wanted that same feeling to be in the structure, but I wanted psychologically for people to feel comfortable, so I wanted to tie it back to the ground at the same time. The important thing in architecture, in my mind, is to design a structure that's at peace with its environment and people feel at peace within the structure itself.
He learned from...
After I completed the house,
the tutelage of one of the best.
I've always dreamt since childhood of living on water or by water, and I realized that this might be the closest I ever get to water, so I decided to stay in the house and live in it, and I've been in it now for about 33 years.
33 years. He built this 30 years ago.
Every project starts with a particular site and a particular program and needs that you're trying to solve. So architecture is really solving the problems on the way a person wants to use a structure and not starting with a preconceived idea, but solving the problems from the inside, working your way out.
So, I just want to take a quick look at the comments, before I give my comments. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. Before I give my comments on the property, obviously I'm blown away. I have like a lot of words that I will be getting out, but I just want to, see what the people say. See what people who are probably, more, I guess, deeper into the architectural appreciation aspect of homes than I am. But I'm learning, and I feel like I'm looking at some of the best stuff, and some of the, best architecture from what I feel like is art. So artist architects versus the architects that, just come up with these like really, really basic bland designs for these, beautiful modern homes. So I'm not saying like, hey man, I hate modern properties. No, I like modern properties. I'm just saying that they're all so similar that they clearly are, to be honest with you, not on the creative side. These architects that come up with these, like, models, I wouldn't call these really creative people. I would just call these like, people who are good at their job and get paid well to do the job. So it's just a job. Like, for some of these architects, that's the best way I can put it. It's just a job. For these certain architects that come up with like these unique, beautiful designs, this is not just a job. Like, this is an art form. So I would put him in that category of art form. And I said I was going to read the comments before giving my own comments, and I'm just giving my comments. Anyway, you should really do a series on architects' own homes. I think it's interesting to show their more unrestrained side in how they live. I would like that too, to be honest with you. I have no words. This is just incredible. The peaceful feeling that the house gives is so special. I agree with that. From the outside, a fancy spaceship. From the inside, just a calm, serene, reasonable, light, and open living space. Obsessed with this one. Love that he is the designer and owner. The fact that it was built in 88 is even nicer. He was ahead of his time. 88, the math, when did this video come out? In 20, yeah, the math on that tracks. So it's insane. The fact he gave jobs to underprivileged teens for this instead of hiring a huge team of builders speaks volumes. Most people would be way too precious to do this. This man gets it. What a legend. That is something that's incredible, because now those kids who know what they went on to become, but they have this particular house on their resume. And I mean, this is incredible. Like, this is not like some basic architectural design, right? This is like something completely unique. And I mean, the place this is iconic. This home was iconic, right? When he spoke of listening to poetry of a location, I've never heard an architect or builder talk like this. I got chills. Look at the magical results. I totally agree, which goes back to my point of, again, there's a difference between architects who use their skill, who, do it as an art form, and the architects who are really just good at a job, right? That can design, look alike this, look alike that, versus creating something out of imagination. That's the difference. Like, this guy created property out of imagination, like out of pure imagination. And now I'll give my official thoughts, which it won't be long, because there's not really a whole lot that I can, really say about the property, other than it was amazing and unforgettable. And I won't not forget Robert Oshatz in any shape or form. And the fact that he was an apprentice of Frank Lloyd Wright Jr. is very prevalent, especially since Frank Lloyd Wright, passed on his knowledge to a young Frank Lloyd Wright Jr., even though they didn't have like I guess the best of the best relationships, or at least from my understanding. Maybe I have it wrong and someone can correct me. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But Frank Lloyd Wright and Frank Lloyd Wright Jr., it wasn't like they were doing properties together, for example, or partnering on architectural design. So anyway, organic architecture is something that we typically don't get on a consistent basis, right? And especially with what we see with these $1 million homes and stuff like that, like these big fancy moderns, or they're not going to include organic architecture. And it is possible to have a large home be organic. Like, anyway, I'm just blown away by how he designed. It was like everything was so well thought out, because in some of these cases, especially today, the design of the property is either number one, and then you're like, okay, we have the space, now we can go ahead and decide what the layout will be, right? Or you get a property, which I like this more than anything, is to focus on the layout first. Okay, like this room has to be here, this room has to be here, and then just kind of develop it out, and then come up with, okay, well, now let's tie this in together into a structure, right? So you have that versus what he did. Everything was just well thought out, from the fact that he was like, well, you know what, as much as I would like to have a primary room also, look at this lake, it is more important to have the family room overlook the lake, and then to have the kitchen, with the open concept. And then you step up, and even though the primary doesn't have like a huge like door or anything, and I honestly, I like that, because this is a real intimate house, so it works very well, and has the compression release effect, where you step down from the area of the primary, you step down and you just release into this space, where it's the family room and the kitchen. So you have that aspect. That's also a signature of Frank Lloyd Wright, but you have that aspect, right? And also hit the sitting area to the primary, you can still see the view. So he's over there like, I just fall asleep on the day bed sometimes, just looking at the view. And of course, he has like, there's just, the whole space was well thought out. Like, he thought about it in a very good way. And then having his studio at the bottom, which also has a view at the bottom, and it just works, right? It just works. I'm honestly blown away, right? This is what a true art form in designing a house would look like. And the decision to say I wanted something to feel like it was going off into space, because he's going up the mountain, is just like, wow. Like, that is the inner working of a mind that is beautiful and artistic. And I'm really glad that we were able to see something like this, because man, I'm telling you, the house that Ina showed, yeah, as you notice, he was on a hill, okay? The property is literally like, because he's, like he said, it was a funnel. It's like it's going towards down the hill. And notice how you didn't see a single column, okay? You didn't see a single column, a single caisson going through the house. We didn't see any of that. All of the things that were holding the property together were outside of the structure. So, yeah. And it's been there for over 30 years. So the structure is structurally sound. So, yeah, I don't really have much to say. hopefully you enjoyed that as much as I did. I'll definitely will be doing, a deeper dive and seeing if we can find any more of his properties, because this was incredible and his designs are just like way out there in terms of design. But because his signature, right, or his philosophy, his architectural philosophy is organic architecture, right? Because of that, he doesn't want the property to overwhelm the nature. It wants to be a part of the nature. And again, one of the key things is if you were to just take the property down and destroy it, you would never know the house was there, because it did not interrupt its surroundings. So beautiful house, beautiful design. Hats off to Robert Oshatz. Hats off to Architectural Digest, because man, they you guys be having some stuff. Okay, I'm still applying for that job that you don't have an opening for, or you know what, the position I want, you guys don't even have that position. I'll just fill it in. Okay, I'll be the guy. I'll be the face. Okay, I'll be the face that goes around and travels, and you take me to go see all of these architectural, iconic type of properties, and I won't overstate it. If it's not great, I'll just tell you it's not for me, because I'm just going to tell the truth. If it's great, I'm like, send me there, because I just want to embrace how great the property is. So again, amazing property. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know I did. If you didn't, go ahead and let me know in the comments if there's something else that you want to see, if there was something better, or if you don't like the property at all. That's fine. You're totally entitled to your opinion. But me personally, it's a really nice property. Really warm, very warm tones in and out of the house. Wasn't cold at all. It felt like a family space that's from outer space. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.